starting something on your own, you have to fail.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot harder to fail on your own than it is to fail in an environment where failure is almost kind of expected and almost encouraged, because that's part of the growth mentality.
Such an important point. Failure came up last week. So I was talking to a couple of the guys here in the paraplanning to advisory track, if you like, in this office. And pushing yourself outside the comfort zone is all part of it. Yeah, you don't want to get to a point where you're just crashing and burning, but that's not the plan. So we can go bit by bit on the plan and go, okay, this is all the things we're going to do. This is how we're going to go over the next 12 months. But you have to fail. You have to stop. It has to go wrong. You know, I remember my very first, I'd cringe now if I saw myself doing this, my very first appointment with my very first client. I got myself mortgage qualified in the first 6 months of me leaving university. And I went with my paper lead building society application to a local solicitors firm to sit down and go through it. And I just I can't do this because I don't know everything. So they're going to ask me something I don't know the answer to. I say to the guys now, one of the most common things I say in client meetings is, I'm not sure, let me come back to you. You know, and getting comfortable in that not knowing everything is part of the journey. And the failures that you experience along the way, as long as you don't take that on board and go, well, that's it now, I can't do any different, and you have to learn from every single one, then effectively that's just part of the journey. Who's ever been successful who hasn't failed along the way?
Yeah.
You know, it's a prerequisite. In fact, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And getting that into the mindset of some of the younger guys is going to be part of the challenge.
It's the fear of failure.
Yeah.
You know, it's the fear of failure, but
we're in a safe environment where, you know, I'm leading a meeting, they're sat with me, and they'll do a bit.
Yeah.
And if they crash and burn in the meeting, so what?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Go to the next meeting and we'll get a bit better.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the opportunity here, is you can be part of that and grow at your own speed.
And no one's holding you back.
Yeah.
You know, that's the key. Like, if you can create an environment that supports growth, and if somebody's keen to push forward and they're in an environment at the moment where they can't seem to do that, make that leap, come over to join us. We've got so much going on. Yeah. Not to mention all the technology we have. We're light years ahead of most companies out there. We're only going to get better and better with our app, with our in-house technology, with our international financial planning, and of course with all the marketing and brand awareness that we're creating. So if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, and this is the interesting thing, right? If you look at like going self-employed, you've got networks, you've got nationals. You name me a network or an international that will wrap a marketing strategy around you, have consultations from somebody who's built like a top 10 podcast, for instance, and also has technology that will properly support you, and you can plug and play into administrators and power planners that are managed on an internal basis. And, you get a buyout option at the end. Most of them obviously will offer buyout, right? You know, but to get a basic alongside that, plus a buyout option, it doesn't exist. No. So you get the security, which most people want, right? Is, you know, people want the security. They want to be able to buy their house. They want to have, they don't want to be stressing about money. And most people, regardless, like you're in your 30s, 40s, you might be earning a decent amount, but your outgoings are quite high. So most people are really relying upon their basics. So if you've got that aspirational dream, you know you can go out there and self-gen clients on your own. Why risk it on your own? And really, I speak to a lot of people, it takes a year to 2 years to get your income up to the levels you think you need them at.
Oh, at least.
So come in, take the basic, wrap yourself, let's get everything wrapped around you to be the best version of yourself that you can actually be the best business that you can actually be. And let's build almost a mini practice underneath Hoxton. And like that, to me, if I was a financial planner, I'd be like, that sounds really, really interesting. It's unique and it's different. And it just gives you a clear runway to being a success.
Yeah, and I'd say don't get too wrapped up in the where you are today with it. You know, it's a case of comparing this split versus that split, or whatever environment you're coming from. The reality is having this brand behind you and having all the things we've talked about, the technology, the recruitment, the environment, it'll take you way further as part of that team than you could do on your own in any event. You know, if you're running through a muddy field in Wellies, you're not going to do a 5K the same pace as somebody in some running shoes on the pavement, are you? You know, you just need the environment and the equipment that you have is key to the whole thing. So I think I was probably guilty of that a little bit in terms of it has to be all mine. And, you know, I kind of built this up in my mind as the only way to go. And then through circumstances and knowing Jay and the opportunity at the right time, it just, okay, let's have a go at this. And
being on your own, you have to be very careful because you become quite limited in your thinking. You don't want to step outside of yourself because there's almost a pride thing attached to it.
Yeah.
And you can lock yourself in and your learning can actually decrease because of it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worth it. Look, you want to go, go fast, go alone, go far, go together.
Exactly.
And I think that's really the motto for today.